You're listening to Three Things to Know with Stephanie Haney, with experts and insiders on what you need to know in Northeast Ohio.
Hi there, everybody. Welcome back to the Three Things to Know podcast. I'm Stephanie Haney. As always, very happy to have you here. And if you're watching the podcast, you can see that the podcast studio is it's coming along quite nicely. We got a couple more tweaks to do, but sooner rather than later, we will have this little space in ship shape, and I'm very happy about it. Thank you guys so much for being here. We have a really cool guest today. We are continuing our tradition, and by tradition, I mean it's happened once, so now it's happened twice, where we have a Northeast Ohio man who was unfortunately eliminated on The Bachelorette, and now he is coming here to talk to us on the Three Things to Know podcast. Of course, you know, just not too long ago, we had Akron's Michael Allio, big fan favorite on the podcast. Well, today we have Spencer Williams. He is 25 years old. He is a financial crimes analyst. He has an adorable 3-year-old son, and he was just sent home by Michelle Young on season 18 of The Bachelorette, episode 3. So he made it through weeks 1 and 2 of the airing. Didn't get the rose, though, in week 3. So he's here to talk to us all about it, give us a little behind-the-scenes insight. Let us get to know him a little bit more, because didn't really seem like we got to know him too well. You know, he didn't get a one-on-one date, so we didn't get a lot of on-camera time with Spencer Williams. So what we're going to do today is we're going to get inside his head a little bit, understand what it was like for him to be in that process, and what he thinks went wrong, and what's next for him. Like, will he be on Bachelor in Paradise? We don't know yet, but we will find out. So let's bring him in right now. Spencer, thank you so much for joining me on the Three Things to Know podcast.
Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
All right, let's start with the most immediate question. What did you think of that GeForce simulator? They have you guys doing some crazy things on this show.
Yeah, that was a crazy experience. It was a Top Gun Maverick theme. And I guess that's how they train fighter pilots, is by using that GeForce thing to get used to flying through the air and turning directions. So it was actually funny because you don't get that much time to speak to her on the show. And so that's like an opportunity of like a minute or two where we could say whatever we wanted while we're spinning on this thing. So you got to make the most of your time just by being upside down and whatnot.
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, the stereotype is it's, you know, tough to get guys to open up anyway, but while they're spinning around and disoriented, maybe that's the ticket. Maybe that's how you get them, spin them around, and then
Yeah, I think the goal is to be vulnerable and defenseless, and so we'll just say anything.
True. Okay, so take me back to night 1 when you step out of that limo, you meet Michelle, you first lay eyes on her. What are you thinking?
First of all, she was very beautiful in person. I was pretty caught off guard by that. I also would say that's probably the most nervous moment in my life so far. I mean, you get out, there's cameras everywhere, lights and producers in the back, and you're meeting all the guys for the first time. It was a very surreal moment. It still kind of feels like a dream, but yeah, I remember it very clearly. And, you know, I know during my intro, I kind of stumbled over my words. I kind of just forgot my name and everything during my intro, but I think she was, I was lucky she was able to give me a chance anyway.
Well, that can definitely happen to the best of us. And you came out swinging. You know, you guys had that basketball connection. She played in college. You played overseas. Your first group date was a basketball situation. So how well do you think that played into you, you know, getting more chances to get to know Michelle?
That's a good question. Yeah, I think that was an advantage that I had over a lot of the other guys. Sorry, does that?
No,
matter?
You're fine.
Okay. I think that was a big advantage for me and the other guys. I played overseas. She played serious basketball, and there's a lot of connections and lessons that you learn through basketball that we were able to translate into conversation. Yeah, I mean, my team won, and I also was able to go on that cocktail party that night. It was really a dream come true in the sense that like you're playing a sport in front of like your crush, and like you really just want to impress them. So it was a lot of pressure going into that basketball game. But I think I played well. I don't know what they showed, but I think she saw the skills.
Yeah, you did good. You know, it kind of takes me back to sort of that high school situation, kind of, you know, playing and like your crush
crushes
is
in the stands. Yeah, it's like higher stakes at that point. You really want to do well.
Absolutely. Now you got another group date, which we'll talk about more a little bit in just a minute, but you didn't get a one-on-one with Michelle. Do you feel like she really got a chance to get to know you?
That's a good question as well. You know, it's hard in that environment. You know, you get short spans of time, 5-10 minute intervals of time to speak with her. And it's also, you know, hard to act, for me, it was hard to act natural just with so many people watching and me being conscious that, all my friends and family would be hearing everything that I was saying. I'm not sure that I'm the same person in front of a camera as I would be, but not in front of a camera. So I actually think that we had a lot in common. We probably would have thrived a bit more in a different environment. And also I think if I would have gotten used to the cameras more so, I think I would have settled down and she would have saw, the more relaxed, natural me. So I didn't get that chance. And I think that if I would have got that chance, things might've been a little different, but I don't think we probably weren't meant to be, because, if there's a connection, that would have shined through regardless.
Sure. Yeah. Well, that kind of plays into my next question for you. Are there any other reasons beyond what you've just said that you think you didn't get that rose in week 3?
Yeah, I think the reasons I just mentioned are key. I was definitely, so during my group dates, I think I did well. Played basketball, I played really well. And she saw my, there's aspects that translate in basketball, like leadership, communication, resilience, those types of things. And same with the GeForce one, the Top Maverick thing. I performed pretty well on that too. So I was feeling all right. But it's tough in that environment. I was the youngest contestant. Maybe like she didn't want to feel like too much of a cougar or something. No, I was the youngest contestant, and that might have factored into it. A lot of those guys just had more life experience, more dating experience. And I think that's probably the number one thing for me. My dating experience is kind of short, and I would be super nervous on a date regardless of if there was cameras there or not. So I think my nerves got in my way in the end.
Yeah, that's definitely a factor. And I'm sure, you are a dad. You have a very adorable son. We see him all over your Instagram. Has that kind of limited your dating life a little bit?
In a sense, I mean, it's just a time commitment sacrifice where you just don't have as much opportunity to go out. I wouldn't say that's necessarily the reason though. I've been, the way that life has turned out, I just haven't been focused on that too much. And also I think our culture millennials in particular don't really date all that often. The dating culture is kind of like strange nowadays. It's usually more casual, or it's like one or the other, more casual or you're headed for marriage, but like the in-between space, it gets a little gray. Mm-hmm. But I don't know, I'm still open for it. I'm still definitely looking for that person still.
Were there many off-camera moments that we didn't get to see? I'm not sure how closely you watched back the episodes, but I did see you watching on your Instagram story, at least the last one. Yeah. So were there many off-camera moments we didn't get to see with you and Michelle?
So many. Yeah, so many. Yeah, that's the tough part, is that America doesn't really know the full scheme. I think Bachelorette ABC does a good job of showing people in a positive light, but yeah, lots of moments that I wish would have made it that didn't make it. I was dancing and I rapped a while to her, and I gave her my grandma's bracelet. My grandma makes bracelets and jewelry. I gave her that. Mm. Yeah, we had a pretty good conversation about Braylon, my son, and they didn't really show much of that either, but lots of moments that I think she was able to see a lot of different aspects of me. So, this wasn't meant to be. I mean, I got broken up with, so I guess I'm still trying to get over it, but I think I'll be all right.
Yeah. Was it tough being away from your son?
Yeah, that was okay. That's one thing that didn't make the screen that I'm glad. I don't know if I'm glad, but it was hard. I'd been like a week apart from him before, but for some reason in that environment, it feels like much longer. I feel like in a week or two, it had been like a month or so. And so like just hearing his voice when you're in a bubble, you're not connected to the rest of the world, and you hear his voice, it was almost like, I'm not one that like breaks down, but I broke down right away. Right away on that. But I'm glad they didn't put that on national TV, I guess.
Well, I saw in your Instagram story that you were watching the last episode with your son. He was in a little selfie for you. What did he think about seeing Dad on TV?
He was like, he didn't really understand when I told him, like, hey man, I'm going to be on TV. And he was just like, why? And I was like, do you see me on the TV? And he's like, yeah, why? And I was like, I was looking for love, man. And he's like, oh. And then like, that was just that. But I think when he's a little older, it might like hit a little harder. I'll save, all the tapes if I can. And I think it'll be a cool thing for him to tell his friends when he gets older. So that's one thing I'm proud about.
Yeah, you're going to have to keep that thing recorded on your Hulu for like the next 10 years.
Yeah, I'm going to have to get that burned into a CD, and he'll be able to laugh at me.
Now, you mentioned, being one of the youngest contestants, being the youngest contestant. Did you feel that among the guys? Was there any kind of a vibe there?
Honestly, no, because maturity doesn't necessarily go with age. I think having my son kind of like gave me a different perspective. I think I surprised a lot of people when they found out that I was the youngest. But I personally felt the difference because they're just having conversations that I can't necessarily relate to. And I think they kind of had an upper hand. I mean, if you've been on like 100 dates in your years, you've got more experience, you have more game on TV. Whereas I'm still new to the dating world and just like kind of like professional life in general. So a lot of them were more grounded and put together, I think, and like had their paths already carved out. Where I'm still kind of like, I'm in a good place, but I'm still, figuring some things out in my own life.
Sure, yeah. Your dating background, has it been more long-term relationships, more casual, more just nothing? What's it been like?
Yeah. I've had two girlfriends in my life. One was in high school and one was in college, and that's it. And those were like, the one in college was like a year and some change, and the one in high school was like a school year or two. So not much dating at all. I've gotten close. I've been dating, but I haven't had girlfriends, if you know what I mean.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So it's like, even now on dates, I'm still like pretty nervous, and I feel like, oh my gosh, I don't even know how this works. Like, I feel like I'm rusty a little bit in the dating world. It's been a while, but I'm not opposed. When I find time, I will.
Well, as a seasoned dater, may I give you a small piece of unsolicited advice?
Please, yes, please.
This is what my girlfriends and I always talk about. The best place to be, the best mind space to be on a date is not, does this person like me, but do I like this person?
Right.
And that is such a mindset shift. That's all. I just wanted to share that with you.
Right.
Someone who's been on some dates.
Yeah. Okay. I'll take that. I appreciate that advice. And I heard like another one is like, don't date, looking for a result, just date for the experience. And then if you enjoy it, go from there.
Sure.
It's tough though, man. It's not always the easiest. It's nerve wracking.
And don't date when you're bored either. Some people go on dates just because they're bored. Like,
just because.
I don't have plans. Let me just like have a date. Like, it's never fun for anybody.
You're right. It might be tough to avoid because I might be guilty of doing that once or twice.
It's okay. We won't hold it against you. But moving forward, Spencer, now you know.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to keep this in mind. I should have wrote that down.
It's okay. You could play the tape back. Now, talking about the guys in the house. Now, last season on Katie Thurston's season, it really seemed like the guys really had a huge bromance. What was the vibe like with the guys in your house?
Yeah, I think it was surprising that, I mean, you go into a show like this, you kind of expect guys to be, douches, guys that like aren't fun, overly confident, alpha males in one house. You expect a lot of that because that's how you stir up drama, I guess. But no, there's a strong bromance, I would say, in the house. Yeah, us guys got along really well. Off camera, always laughing, always talking. I've established some very good friendships during this. I'm not sure if I'm allowed to say. I don't think I'm allowed to say who in particular, but I guess if they've already been eliminated, I could. So who is one? I like Daniel a lot. Malik is a good guy. LT is hilarious. I mean, a lot of the time was in there spent laughing and having real deep conversations because there's no phone, there's no TV, there's no books. All you have is conversation. And so you get really close to people in a matter of days and things get really real. So yeah, some deep stories were shared for sure.
Well, I'll ask you about one person in particular because Rick Leach Jr. is also from Ohio. So did you guys connect at all on both being from Ohio?
Yeah, Rick was my roommate, actually. Rick is a really, really great guy. Like, I hope he does well on the show. That's all I'll say. I mean, a down-to-earth person. He was a little bit older. I mean, he's had great experience because, when you get back to the room, that's the only time you get to speak to each other without the mic. And so we would talk more than anybody. And so I love Rick. My heart goes out to Rick. Like, wishing him nothing but the best. I don't know about his entrance though. So during my first one-on-one time with her, he literally interrupted me in the table. Like he literally rolled up on me and kicked me out of there. But that's how the friendship started, and like we'll be friends for a while for sure.
He rolled up on you. I love it. Well, he did say that he was aged perfectly at the age of 32.
Yeah, he kind of was. Yeah, he had a lot of experience. He's done a lot. So yeah, no, Rick is awesome, down to earth guy. We got very close.
All right, well, let's talk about some of the drama, a little bit of the drama. We saw this on the last episode on the Top Gun date. Jamie, obviously, villain, not getting painted in a super great light. Being dishonest. What are you gonna do? I mean, there's no edit to that. The guy was just dishonest, right? But was he like that in person, or do you feel like there was any kind of editing there?
Yeah, good question. I will say, watching the episode, I was a bit surprised by some of the words that he chose to use about the guys because honestly, during my time there, he was like super impressive person. And I mean, he owns two businesses. He seemed very wise. As you saw, he has a story that was very touching, and I think like add some perspective. So he was like in his like early 30s, but I almost like he was someone that I was almost looking up to in the house. And honestly, he was very positive. Seemed like always giving advice. Um, I was a little disappointed to see the edit and like how and all the things that were said. But things could look worse, come off worse. I mean, context is everything. Um, yeah, I guess that's it. That's how it is. You get close to people in the house and you don't know what they're saying without you around. um, I was surprised for sure to see that.
Do you think that there are any other, I don't know if you can reveal this, but are there any other people that we might be kind of surprised what we see from as the show goes on? Anybody who really kind of rubbed you the wrong way?
Um, yeah, there is, but I don't think I'm allowed to say. But yes, there is a few that we wouldn't necessarily be best friends outside of the bubble. I had to put the fifth on that one though.
All right, well, that's a very kind way for you to put it. Wouldn't necessarily be best friends. Okay, we'll take that and we will watch eagerly and see what goes down.
You could probably take a guess, and I think you're probably right.
Yeah, okay. All right, well, there's 14 guys left, so, I'm doing a mental elimination in my head. We'll have to figure it out. Okay, so my question is then for you, what is next for you? Are you back home in Cleveland? Are you dating again?
Yeah, good question. Yeah, so I'm back into my regular life. I work at Key. I do anti-money laundering, financial crimes work, due diligence for high-risk customers. And so I'm still relatively new to that job. So I'm just trying to learn as best I can with that. Still hanging out with Bray as much as I can. He's getting old and it's pretty crazy watching him grow up. Like he's going to be 4 in March. And I'm still training kids for basketball. I personal train on the side after my regular job. And so that's all been keeping me busy. Besides all that, yeah, I'm definitely looking for love still, but it's Cleveland. I'll keep looking until I find that person for sure.
Sure, yeah. Well, they are out there. They are out here in Northeast Ohio. What's your vibe? What are you doing? Are you on the dating apps? Are you staying back from that? Are you trying to meet people in person?
Yeah.
Wait, if somebody is watching this and they're like, I think Spencer Williams could be my guy. What's her best bet? Where's she gonna find you?
Hey, I go out from time to time downtown for sure. Flats, West 6 all the time. I'm not on social dating apps right now. But social media, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, all of that. And maybe a basketball court near you.
There you go. Okay, and one more question for you before we let you go, Spencer. I think the main question for people after they go on The Bachelorette, and if they don't end up proposing,
yeah.
Are we going to see you on Bachelor in Paradise?
Oh, yeah. I knew this question was coming. Hey, absolutely. I mean, considering I'm still single at that point, that is. Yes. Yeah, if I'm still single and they give me the invite, I would love to get out there and, see what could happen. That seems like a unique experience. Also, my job would have to let me go. So I don't know. They already let me go on the show. I don't know if they'll let me go on that too. That type of show can get a little bit messy for people. It can get a little messy, and so it's the type of thing it's like a fine line. You got to toe that line a little bit, but I'm open to it for sure. I hope so.
I would describe Bachelor in Paradise as a hot mess, usually.
Yeah, not a little messy. It is a hot mess.
It is. Yes. It is a little messy. Well, it's been wonderful chatting with you and getting to know you a little bit more. If you get on Bachelor in Paradise, I think it would be great for people to get to know a little bit more about Spencer. Now the ladies in Northeast Ohio know where potentially to find you. So thanks for chatting with us, Spencer. We really appreciate your time today on the 3 Things to Know podcast.
Thank you. I appreciate you for having me. This has been fun.
He just seems lovely, doesn't he? I mean, I don't know if I can really wrap my brain around that not really dating thing. Is that really a thing? Are millennials not really dating? I guess he says they are either super cash or super serious, and there's really no in between. I myself have been throughout life a little bit of a serial monogamist, so I don't know, maybe that's just a personal disconnect. I am technically a millennial, so I don't know. Interesting though. But wishing Spencer the best. He was quite lovely. So happy that he came on here to talk to us and give us a little bit of behind the scenes and insight into what he was thinking You know, if you want to follow him on social media, his username is trill_swill. That is on Instagram and Twitter. Of course, that'll be linked in the show notes and also on WKYC.com and in the YouTube video if you are watching this podcast on YouTube. Now, we were talking a little bit about dating advice for Spencer. I gave him some unsolicited advice, and listen, I stand by that. I don't care who you are. If you're in a dating space, I think it is really a good idea to be in a mind space where you're not like, oh, I want to impress this person. Oh, I want to impress this person, because then you're not really being your authentic self. And it is really nice if you can get to a space of, do I like this person? And a nice way to get to that space to be calm is to have a nice activity, a calm, chill activity, or maybe not a calm, chill activity, but whatever. Just something that fits your vibe that you can invite the person to. So here is what I think you need to know in NEO for the upcoming holiday season, especially if you're trying to plan dates. The Winter RiverFest is coming back to the Flats, and this is so charming. And there's a little bit of something for everyone. So whether you want to be really active, or whether you like food, or whether you like drinks, or whether you like holiday decorations, or just being outside, if any of those things are your vibe, Winter RiverFest is an excellent choice. This is at Rivergate Park and Merwin's Wharf. It's for the holiday season. It starts November 26th, so coming up very soon. It runs through January 2nd. What's cool is they have a brand new ice skating rink this year. It is real ice, and they have it temperature controlled, so I think it is good to last up until maybe like 80 degrees. It's something crazy. They have some sort of conditioning that's done, obviously, because regular real ice doesn't last at 80 degree weather. And listen, I don't think we're gonna get any 80 degree weather between now and January 2nd, but it is Ohio, so you truly do never know. But it might be a little bit on the warmer side. But regardless, the ice skating is there, and you can reserve that in advance if you want to, or you know, you can take a risk and just fly by the seat of your pants and see if it's available. But other stuff that they have there, beautiful holiday decorations, beautiful lights. They have this thing all lit up. It's so beautiful. It's right along the riverfront on the Cuyahoga River. They also have a beer garden and fire pits, so if it does get a little bit chilly, you have that option. And they also have a little igloo village where you can eat, you can dine in these igloos. It's quite charming, and I would highly recommend it. If you are dating, or even if you're not dating, just take yourself there. I mean, it looks great. I'll definitely be there at some point. So, you know, if you see me there, say hi. And now that brings us to a good follow. And because we are following along with The Bachelorette and our Ohio guys, and we learned that Spencer and Rick were roommates, he is a good follow this week on social media. He posts a lot of cool photos from The Bachelorette too so far. And he posts a lot of sweet photos of his dog, Nana or Nana. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing the dog's name right, but eventually, whether he gets to propose to Michelle or gets eliminated, I hope that we'll get an opportunity to talk to Rick on the podcast as well in the future. But between now and then, we can follow along with him on social media. On Instagram, he is Rick Leach Jr., and he is also a Northeast Ohioan. He's a graduate of Walsh University, which is not that far from my hometown of Canton. Okay, that's it for your 3 Things to Know podcast this week. This has been a special bonus edition. Next up, we have a Canton native as well. I'm so excited that we'll be talking with Amanda Klutz. She is a host on The Talk. She is a professional dancer, a fitness instructor, and she's on Dancing with the Stars right now. So we're going to talk to her. So stay tuned for that. And if you've been liking the podcast, if you haven't already, I would love it if you would subscribe, leave a rating and a review, and share it with your friends. And hey, let's do Spencer a solid. If you have a single friend who you think might be right for Spencer, maybe send this podcast their way. It sounds like he's looking for love. Maybe we can save him the trouble of having to go on Bachelor in Paradise. Just a thought. All right, everyone, have a good one, and I will see you back with more 3 Things to Know with Amanda Klutz very soon. I'm Stephanie Haney.
Thanks for listening to 3 Things to Know with Stephanie Haney from WKYC Studios. Subscribe now to stay in the know.